Hey, welcome to the table. Pull up a chair. I'm Dr. Paula. Today I want to talk to you about something that came to mind recently, progress over perfection. Actually, I designed a mug that specifically says that I offer in my store, but it's been resonating with me lately, especially since I've been put on these different paths that God has put me on. And it's like I am not only a therapist, but now I'm also venturing into different spaces. And me growing up, perfection was always kind of like the standard almost. And just me wanting things to be perfect and trying not to make mistakes and trying to make sure everything gets done right and correctly. And the problem is that, it turned me into someone who wanted to be like, not make any mistakes, not fail, not do anything like that. But at some point in my life, I did hit that barrier and face some conflicts that caused me to fail, which helped me tremendously to learn that, everything takes small steps. It helped me to reevaluate my life and to think about things in a different way that enabled me to accomplish whatever goal I set myself out to accomplish, right? And the thing about it is, now as I look at things, I'm all about showing up authentically, showing up as your true self, because nobody's perfect, no thing is perfect. And the more we strive for that perfection, the more difficult it gets for a lot of us to accomplish anything. And because it can't be deemed as perfect, we might sometimes stop, right? So that's just my experience with that whole idea of progress over perfection. When I look back, I see how far I have progressed over the course of my life since I've changed my path in a way and stopped focusing so much on being perfect and just focusing on doing what little I can in the moment that I have, in the time that I have. Okay. I think a lot of us have convinced ourselves that we need to be more prepared before we start doing something. We have to do all the research. We have to make sure we have all the money. We have to make sure we, do X, Y, Z before we can do anything. Like if I want to go on a trip in the past, I'd be like, oh, I don't have the money, so I'm going to have to do X, Y, Z. I'm going to have to work, save all the money. But then by the time I save all the money, it's like not an opportune time to go on the trip, or something else happens in life that prevents me from going on the trip, and then I miss out on an opportunity like that, right? And sometimes we tell ourselves we need more confidence, we need more knowledge, we need more certainty, we need more experience to do certain things, so we just wait, right? We wait until the perfect time, or we have the right amount of things that we need to have, and so by then we might not even be ready for whatever is to come, right? And we wait until we feel confident enough to take the first step to venture out onto a new path or a new career, a new venture of any kind, right? The problem is that perfection has a moving target, right? The more we become prepared, the more prepared we think we need to be. And because we think we need to be more prepared, the time just keeps whittling away. And then by the time we decide, okay, now the time is perfect, there is no time for us to get things done, right? So months would have passed, sometimes years would have gone by. And it's not because we couldn't do what we wanted to do, but it's just because we were waiting for the perfect moment for things to start, or the perfect environment, or the perfect situation, for things to come up and to actually attempt doing what it is we want to do, right? I've noticed that some of the biggest opportunities people miss aren't because they failed to do it, it's because they never even started doing it, right? I just watched a commercial, actually, I believe it's a Gatorade commercial, and Caitlin Clark is in it, and she's talking about, people who want to do certain things and how they're just waiting, and the message essentially said is just start. One of my favorite authors, Nora Roberts, she talks about, writing her books, and she has often given the advice of, you really can't edit a blank page. You really have to start writing. You have to write that first draft that's dirty and that's all messed up, because that's the only way you can fix things. If you think about a potter who's working with clay, the clay isn't formed perfectly to begin with. It's a mess. Sometimes you have to mix it before you can even put it on the wheel, before you can even start forming it. And that's a process. And just like with anything we want to do, everything will take some time. It will take a process. And the more we do it, the better it gets and the easier it gets for us to accomplish whatever it is we want to do, the less hesitant we would be to start, right? You become more comfortable. And then as you become more comfortable, you might even get more relaxed. And then you might even just feel much more confident in your ability to do whatever it is to set yourself, whatever goal you set for yourself, right? So you don't, as I was saying, you don't start out as an expert with anything, right? Nothing comes out perfectly. It has to start somewhere, right? Nobody starts with everything figured out. You have to learn how to do something. It's just like when you want to learn how to ride a bicycle. You don't just start riding a bicycle. You might have to fall off a couple of times because you have to learn how to balance. You have to learn how to get on. You have to learn how to do so many things. And after you've learned how to fall a few times, you've learned, okay, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to change to ensure that I don't fall again. And you get stronger and stronger and stronger, right? Now, what if your goal wasn't perfection? What if your goal was simply just making progress? Every day that we wake up in the morning, there's always going to be something we have to do, and we have to figure out how are we going to get it done. But trying to sit down and plan and strategize what it is we're going to do, how to get it done, might take all the time away that we could have gotten the thing done. And then when we finally do it and realize how quickly it took us, we've wasted quite a bit of time, right? So if the goal is simply progress and just taking one step, trying one thing, maybe starting a conversation with someone, maybe creating a video or writing an app, or even just trying to think about doing the laundry, what are some steps you can do? Yes, we know that there are normal steps and patterns that we go through on a daily basis. But sometimes when we wake up in the morning, we just don't feel motivated to do anything, right? We just don't feel motivated to just get out of bed at all because we just lack the capacity, or we're just exhausted because of everything we've had to do. But we know we have to get up. If we don't get up and try to do something, we won't make progress, right? We will never move forward. We'll stay stuck in that same space. And sometimes that really messes with our mental health, because you'll look back and you'll compare yourself to how people your age, or people who you've known all along, all your life, or people who've achieved certain things have gotten the success that they've gotten. And to us, it might seem like so easy, but they also had to go through a process. They probably had to start and fail a few times. They had to try a few things and fail a few times. And then in the right time, they would have reached the goal that they wanted, but it all took process. And then they look back and they see, well, look how far I've come, look how far I've progressed, right? So for you, because progress creates momentum, right? And momentum often breeds confidence within an individual. Whatever confidence you were looking for, whatever skills you needed to get, and you work towards that as you are going through the process, and for me, it's in those moments when I'm trying to learn things, and the patience that I have to have, that I know that God is doing a lot of work in me and in the situation, preparing me to get to where I need to go. All right. So maybe the question is whether you're willing to begin before you're really ready, right? So you need to ask yourself, and you need to determine within yourself what it is that you want to do, what it is that you want to change, what it is that you want to have be different in your day-to-day moments. I'm not even going to say in your future, or because right now all you can control is what is in this moment, right this second, right? So I want you to reflect on that. I want you to think about some of those things that you want to do, not so much focusing on the things that you didn't get to do and the regrets that you didn't get to do it. Because for me, every day is a new day to start over. And every time you start over or start something, you are making progress. It's just like if you didn't have a job and you get a job that's low paying, the money that you're making is more than the $0 that you weren't making. You're still making progress. The fact that you started something will open the door for more things to start. All right. So if any of that resonated with you, take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for pulling up a chair and joining me today. Until next time.